Next, I is for being inquisitive, and I call it curiosity. I love this picture because it's looking out the window and you can see the eyes wide open. What's happening out there? Being inquisitive and curious is something that we used to do as children. We were always asking why, and our parents would say, because I said so, and we go, but why? And then after a while, we get out of that habit, but never stop showing interest in life and learning new things. I am fascinated by AI. As I said, I'm a bit of a techie geek, but I'm more interested in what it can do in the world of medicine. And again, if you're interested, just all the data that they are now collecting, not just from one country, but globally on women. So for example, I found out that if somebody presents with breast cancer in a particular country, usually you would be given a certain medication. But if it's given to, the same medication is given to a lady in Asia, she won't do so well because of the foods that they eat that counteract with this particular medicine. And it was AI and being able to throw all that data from the different countries that they were actually able to get that additional insight. So I'm always just having a look on what's new, and they're doing the same with diabetes and Alzheimer's, etc. So I believe in tech for good, and we desperately need more women in tech to ensure that we get the cognitive diversity required. And when those main decisions are made, that we have, as I said, a more diverse deciding panels. So I am always advocating and trying to encourage people to go into tech. And it doesn't matter if you've started, you've been 10 years in a role, there's still a lot of opportunity to move across to tech. And a lot of the big tech companies have got special programs that allow you to do that as well. J is for the joie de vivre. I love French. It's not very good, but I'm trying to ensure that it gets better. But joie de vivre is joy for living. It's the delight in being alive, a carefree enjoyment of living. And I always say we only have one life to live. And I have found how I start my day makes an incredible difference to the remaining hours of the day. So I make it my intention to enjoy each and every day. I'm blessed right now because I'm actually living the life I've always wanted to live, and I'm really loving it. And I try to look for the good in everything. And I do mean everything, the small things, because I believe that anything is possible. As I said, I have an ultra strong faith in what I call God, and that helps me. And I know that most people believe in something that's bigger than themselves. Some people call it God, Goddess, Buddha, Allah, Krishna, whatever works, whatever, that higher being is for you. But I tap into my higher source on a regular basis, as I find that it helps me to stay calm and focus. And I draw from that strength to maintain my joie de vivre and just be happy to be alive, because lots of people didn't make it overnight. It's as simple as that. So K is for kid stuff. And this is my quote: feed your inner child and never, ever lose her. Because let's face it, life is serious at times. All we have to do is listen to the news, right? But doing kid stuff, I find, is a great stress buster. So hopscotch, playing with children, rolling down a hill, riding a bike, going to the fun fair, whatever fun you can find. I encourage everyone to make time for fun and for the kids and for the kids stuff. L is for listening. So it said that we have 2 ears and we have 1 mouth to talk. But learning to listen is one of my top 5 skills for life. Because when somebody takes the time to fully listen to you, it's another gift. I'm blessed to have some really good friends who are great listeners, and I've held on to them for life, really. They might not have the best advice, they might not have a job as good as, what you consider to be a good job. But what they do is to hold a safe space whereby you can talk. They'll just listen intently. So I've learned to try and listen, and I'm still trying to perfect, learn to listen cleanly, without interruption, without judgment. And as well as listening to what's coming out of people's mouths, I'm also listening for the tone, I'm listening for the inclination, and I'm watching their body language as well. In my book, I actually give a little bit of an exercise that says, next time you're speaking to somebody, listen to them speak, and then once they've finished and you've parted company, try and recall everything that they actually said. And what happens when I first started, I realized that I only got bits of, because I wasn't listening intently. So now I'll put my mobile phone away and I'll sit in the position and say, right, I'm ready for you. I'm listening. Because often my daughter will say, Mom, you're not listening. Of course I'm listening. No, you're not, because you're doing this and you're doing that. So listening, an absolute gift. M is for mentoring, and I add in there coaching as well. As a mentor, you ask the questions of a mentor, and you ask for guidance, you ask for advice, you ask for some feedback and support. And it can be on anything. It can be on how do I get promotion, or how do I find a new role, or what course should I take to make my skills more, strengthen my skills. A coach asks you questions, using powerful questions, which helps one to explore and for one to come up with solutions to an issue, a problem, a dilemma, maybe. And I've had mentors earlier in my life, and I didn't know they were mentors at the time, but I've learned that that's what they're called. And they offered me wise counsel on how to navigate certain situations. Later in life, I encountered a coach who would change my life in a, well, I say a colossal way, because she asked me in what I called an outrageously powerful question. And in that moment, I just knew with every fiber of my being that I had to make the change, because the consequences of not making the change, as scary as it was at the time, would have been detrimental to my future, to my well-being, and to my peace of mind. And you'll notice that all the best athletes have coaches. Serena Williams will say that her coach, she cites her coach as the person that's made her the player that she is today, because he changed her forehand in a way that she volleyed, and it's made a huge difference, and that's why she's the best in the world. So a coach and a mentor can make a massive difference to your life. So if you've never worked with a mentor or a coach, that is something that I do advise. Amir, is there a question in the chat? I see something's gone up there. Yes, no? Okay, I'll continue. So N is for networking. So because of, I went to a networking event this year in London, and we were at the Houses of Parliament, and I met Amira. We sat on the same table with a few other ladies, and that's the reason why I'm here today. You never know where a contact is going to take you. Nigel Reisner, I heard he's a motivational speaker that I heard speak about 15 years ago. And he says, networking is one of the best ways to enhance your business and enhance your brand, i.e. you, because it gives people a chance to buy you. So it's important to build and share your network. When I network with people, it's never just for me. It's an opportunity to say, you know, people might say, can you do such and such, Jan? And I might say, well, no, I'm not able to, but I know somebody and I'm able to then pass that on as well. And I think there is superpower in networking, and there is mega superpower in women networking, because it's just something we do and do exceptionally well. And when we get it right, I mean, if more of us did it, there's just that quantum, that compound impact that it would have across the world. So I recommend that you build networking into your life, meet interesting people from all walks of life, from different countries and across different geographies. Because as Ambassador Aisha said yesterday, when we start to talk, we realize that we do a lot of the same things, but usually somebody has the edge that says, actually, that's the way I used to do it. Why don't you just do it this way? And this is what happens. And this is how we learn and grow, by networking. O is for ownership. And here is, I've often hear people say, oh, well, it wasn't my fault, it was somebody else's fault, etc., etc. And I think what I've learned is taking full and deliberate ownership of our life, of ourselves. Sometimes we unwittingly give ourselves away. And what I mean by that, we almost become somebody else because they influence us in a particular way. But it's important that we own our actions, our reactions, and our story. Sometimes we give away our power to others that haven't even earned it, but we take a side step and kind of step out of that space. So we've got to learn to take ownership, full responsibility. And if we've done something wrong, go, oh my gosh, or we make a mistake. Never be afraid to say, yeah, actually, my bad. I got that wrong. I forgot that. I didn't think of that. And I think that's a part of the way that we build our reputation. But if we start getting into blame culture, it was this person's fault and they didn't do that, I think usually people don't want to hear that. We just say, okay, yeah, we've got it wrong. How can I make amends? Okay, next, P. P is for peace. Ayana Van Zandt, who's a fabulous coach, says that we should learn to live in peace and not in pieces. And so this is my number one, okay, because I have learned to hone my inner peace over the years. And why is this even important to me? It's important because I can remember times in my life when I could not sleep properly, where I was confused, I was burdened and worried about this and that. And sometimes it wasn't even my stuff that I was worried about. It was other people's stuff that I was worried about. Now, I'm not saying to you, don't be interested in people, but I think we have to get to a point where we have to know how much to take on. Because what it does, if you take on too much, it does start to cause anxiety, you know, for yourself. And in my case, that's what it would cause. It was just too much. So I highly recommend the practice of mindfulness. And I'll just let you into a secret. I was just absolutely rubbish at it to start with, because I've got a very analytic mind. So I'm always probably overthinking. And I know that's about myself now. Okay. And I've accepted it and I'm trying to do better, because we are all a work in progress, right? So I wasn't good at it. I was usually overthinking and I would have some lame excuse. But a mother once told me that she has I think she had 5 children under the age of 7. Can you imagine, in a home? And it was a tiny home. And she said that she found time to zen out. And she would go to the cupboard underneath the stairs. So she would say to the elder child, I'm taking half an hour and mummy is under the stairs. Okay. And that's where she would go and just do some breathing, whatever she did, prayed, meditated, whatever did, listen to some music. And I thought, you know what? If she can do it with 5 children, I think I can do it too. So I've been trying to practice my mindfulness. I am getting better, definitely not there, but much, much better. Q is for questions. And what I mean by questions is powerful questions. So it was my coach who would ask me a powerful question, which would turn me into the right direction. I think I was at a bit of a crossroads. And the session went something like this. She said, Jan, what are the consequences of not making the change in your life? And I kind of thought for a minute. And it felt like I was thinking for quite a long time because there was a big gap of silence. But I think I came up with 5 things that if I didn't change, this would happen. And it would be this and this and this. And the more I thought about it, it almost, the fear that I had come into the session with almost dissipated, because I was now like, okay, I've got to get out of this room. I've got to now start making these changes. Otherwise, this is what's going to happen down the end of the road. And that was a major, major thing for me. So, as I said, I came up with the answer for myself. And I would say, don't be afraid to ask questions to gain clarity in your life. And in the book, there are some powerful questions that you can ask yourself and you can ask others. R is for relationships. So during our time on this earth, we will form many relationships, each one different and unique. Some relationships will have a profound effect on the way that we live our lives, or the way we do our jobs, or the way our lifestyles are. And we inherit relationships, like ones from our mother and father, and then we learn to form other relationships. We've got cousins and siblings and some friends and people from infant school. And when we're growing up, we rely very heavily on our parents for just about everything. As we get older and we start to build a relationship, we've got to think about, what kind of friend am I? What kind of environment do I create? Again, what do people say about me when I'm not there? Do they go, oh, is Jan coming? Oh, yes, is Jan coming? Oh, no. What are we like, and what kind of relationships do we build? Do we forge good ones or bad ones? And I've heard the question years ago, which I've never forgotten. The question was, do your relationships support, feed, or make you happy? Or do they drain you, hurt you, or harm you? We know that relationships are the lifeblood of our existence. So it's important, and I've certainly done this over years, is to take time to cultivate solid relationships. For me, it's an investment of time, which is then rewarded with true and lifelong friends. And they're there for you, and you are there for them, and during various chapters of our lives as well. So not too many to go now. So S is for starting over. I think starting over gives us the chance to start afresh, to learn from lessons from the last episodes and move forward. And sometimes just the fear of starting over, and I do mean you can be in, I don't know, a role for 20 years and you're very, very comfortable, for example, in that, but you can do more. Or maybe you want to start your own business, and there's absolutely no reason, with the right support and guidance, to actually say, all right, that's what I've done. That was chapter number 1. And now I'm going to do something completely different, and I'm going to start over. I've often done a painting and looked at it and thought, I'm not happy to hang that on my wall. And I've scrubbed it and started again. And people say, oh my God, that's a waste. But I've then come up with something so much better that I've been proud of. So never be afraid to start over. T is for technology. So we know that technology is changing our world at a colossal rate. We've experienced this pace for ourselves during lockdown, thanks to Corona. I mean, overnight meetings just went from the boardroom to the bedroom, as somebody, some people have coined. Managers had said, we needed people into the office every single day, and technology has proven that, well, that's not strictly true. There can be hybrid working as well. So technology allows us to do a number of things, but I think the piece that I'd like to leave with you is to protect your social media accounts by using the right security settings. I read an article not too long ago that says women are notoriously bad about security around our social media. That is very, very important to know. We also give away our data. I mean, we want a new app, and because we want a new app, we give them our name, our address, our telephone number, our height, our this, our that. You've got to ask the question, why do they need to know that? Because they're only perhaps going to sell the data along the way anyway, and then all of a sudden you get a call from somebody trying to sell you something. That happens in the UK a lot. But be very mindful about the data that we're exchanging, and read the small print when you get a new app, because that's the devil is usually in the detail. Be mindful of what we put out there, because once it's out there for life. We've had incidents in the UK where people have been given a role, they've been accepted for a job, and then HR have gone and looked at their social media and they've said something out there that is, I don't know, homophobic or sexist or whatever. And they have had to retract the offer, because they can't have somebody who's working for them who has that information out in the public domain. And keep your social footprint as clean as possible. If you've never done it, Google yourself and see what it says about you out there as well. What pictures do you have out there, etc. Okay, U is for understanding. So the ability to gain a better and wider understanding of people and how they operate, so that you can improve your relationships. I've taken time to review, I think it's important just to take time to understand different points of views, different thoughts and ideas, and not to make assumptions or even to buy into the stereotypes of people that we see as reinforced on the media. So, I don't know, Egyptian ladies are this and Jamaican ladies are this. I think the question came up yesterday with on Aisha's session, the views of African women, etc., etc. But we need to understand for ourselves and have those conversations that matter. V is for victory. Years ago, I thought the only time I was celebrating was birthdays and marriages and christenings, etc. I have learned to celebrate the very small victories in my life, whether it's losing a pound last week or whatever it may be. It's worth celebrating. W is for wealth. And when I talk about wealth management, usually when we think about wealth, our minds turn to finances. But I define my wealth as the following. Health is my number one, as I've said, but also my beautiful daughters, my loving partner, extended family, amazing friends, great relationship, a roof over my head, warmth, food, quality of life, peace of mind, money, paintings, music, books, my energy, and the fact that my body works really well most of the time. I believe that's true wealth. And of course, laughter in the good times and the bad times. Just in the interest of time, I think we're okay. Okay, X is for excellence. So just go with it. I know that we don't spell excellence with a X, but that's what excellence is not a gift, but a skill that takes practice. So we do not act rightly because we are excellent. In fact, we achieve excellence by acting rightly. And that's from one of the philosophers that I always try and read bits and pieces from, and that's Plato. Y is for you. Now, I think Nada on Friday evening talked about personal branding, I understand. And so Y is for you. Warren Buffett, who is the CEO for Berkshire Hathaway, says it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. So if you think about it, you'll do things differently. And sometimes we don't always think about maybe the way we behave or the way we react, but we have to remember that our brand, especially in the world of work, is at stake. So it's very important how we react to certain situations. But I know that Nada will have much more to say on branding, so I'll leave it there, but I encourage you to listen to that. And then Z is for zeal. Zeal's a really old-fashioned word found in the Bible. And by definition, it means to be zealous, to be willing, to be energized, devoted, have some gusto, be motivated and enthusiastic in the pursuit of whatever it is that you want in life. And my last slide, I would say, is we are all unique. So I encourage you, and this is what I've learned over the years, keep raising the game. It's all, you can always push a little bit harder, lifting the bar and reaching for new heights. I like to think that beyond every glass ceiling that people keep talking about, once it's smashed, there is unlimited blue sky with so many opportunities just waiting for us to enjoy. So I trust that this has been informative and that you've learned something new, and it's made you think, it's offered you some clarity to your life, and that it will help you in a significant way going forward. So I took the stairs and I learnt the hard way. Hopefully you'll take the elevator and get there a lot quicker than I did. So aim high, have faith, you can do it, be awesome, be fearless, but most important, be your most authentic self. Thank you for listening.
Jan, thank you very much. Actually, this is my turn to say T for thank you. Thank you very much for the very inspiring session. And I think all of us are highly impressed and learned a lot from you, and got inspired with your passion and your enthusiasm to share your experience. And I think it's time to say that to share my experience with your book. If you allow me, please, to share this. Jan Sinclair is the author of My Simple A to Z, the book I wish I had in my 20s, and it is very, very inspiring book. Thank you very much, Jan, for your time and for accepting our invitation. And I think if you have any question, my audience, please write down the questions in the chat to read it to Jan. Okay.